This next piece is very important, I think, as we're going to look off that edge into the future. How are we going to become one with machines and not just become machines? Dr. Koizumi from Hitachi has worked on a machine that can read your mind. And what's very interesting is that he's worried about it. He sees the ethical difficulties associated with this. So for Dr. Koizumi, he likes to bridge between disciplines, fuse them together so that we come up with a unified thought that includes the ethical implications and complications of something as simple as technology. So I hope you look forward with me to this interview with Dr. Koizumi and listen to what we have to say about the next generation of human being that doesn't exist inside a human skin. So we'll just continue talking. So my interest is, of course, in the children as they lose their muscle activity. How can we help them along? Is that a direction you're taking? I know you've looked at amyotrophic lateral sclerosis in terms of is there brain activity and directed a model train.
Yes.
I'd like, of course, for the children to be able to use a joystick for their electric wheelchairs. Is this a direction that you're thinking about in Japan?
Not a direction because this is a completely new methodology.
Yes.
So just we started and we are thinking about the future. Present, yeah.
We have a device called the Life Shirt, which measures every breath you take, every beat of your heart, single lead EEG, and the like. And we really have, it's almost like an Alexandrian library of physiology.
I see.
So that children with sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis, I know their vital signs.
I see.
I know every beat of their heart. I also see this as a way of collecting knowledge, so as we reach the singularity, where we can upload our consciousness to a computer, we also need to have that emotional component.
Yes.
Are you collecting data in that way, or so early?
Yes,
that's certainly what you were talking about, the ethics.
Just at present, we are very much involved in such kind of research. But of course, we didn't publish yet. But what we are thinking is our prefrontal cortex, as you know, is very much related to limbic system. So even the measuring the prefrontal cortex, we can get the information of the limbic system. So that's why we are very much interested in the prefrontal cortex activation.
Are you looking at emotional states? I guess in terms of our androids of the future, that's one thing to be a calculating machine, but to have a grasp of what emotions are all about.
Yes, emotion, and of course at present, in case of adult, we can use a functional MRI to take a look at the limbic system or sometimes a brain stem. But in case of the early infants or infants, of course, as you know, it's impossible to use the functional MRI. In that case, the optical tomography is important. But as I told you before, the optical tomography just can measure the neocortex. So that's why we are trying to observe the prefrontal cortex because the prefrontal cortex is very much related to emotion and also, of course, related to attention. So we are just working for these kind of things, and maybe within the 1 year or so, we would like to improve the emotion measurement more because we are doing such kind of research too.
We have at the California Science Center here, we have an exhibit called Goosebumps. I think you'll see that down at Wired, and I was really hoping to be able to use the machine there, but I guess the timing is not going to be quite right. So I hope you're able to do the same kind of research, looking at fear and joy and everything, because in the future, in the singularity, in 100 years, when we all are uploading our personalities, we're going to need this kind of information.
You're right. Such kind of emotion or sometimes motivation should be very important in case of education too. learning and education requires motivation and emotion. Emotional factor must be one of the most important things.
You sound just, that's what all this web-based learning,
Yeah.
it's buckets of facts, but the
That's right.
stickiness, I think the stickiness of it requires the emotionality too, and we do need a way to measure that.
Yeah, so that's why we are trying to develop the brain-machine interface, controlling the model train only by thinking. In that case, such kind of the activity is really the fun. I am doing it by myself, but I want to stop the model train exactly at some line. We need some training, so it's a kind of game. But if when we just pull up the signal from some localized area of the neocortex, in that case, that neocortex small area can be trained by using such kind of the controlling machine. So I am just thinking about the very present rehabilitation. And as you know, the present rehabilitation must be very important because the dopamine acts very effectively to, fix the memory and also the learning skills. So the emotion, of course, very important, and also the fun or present thing must be very important in rehabilitation. But at present, as you know, the rehabilitation is not present. Very, tough time for patients. So we are trying to improve the basic way of thinking of rehabilitation. Yeah.
Well, I really thank you for your time. I know you have an event and many people looking forward to you. So,
with my pleasure.
and I hope to be working with you in the future.
Yeah, yes. Thank you very
sharing
much
ideas.
indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.